Welcome, everybody, to the premiere episode of VtM Montreal Black Pentecost. We have a brand new chronicle, year-long chronicle. It's going to be taking place here on Folk&Myth every Friday and on some Tuesday nights and the occasional Thursday. Throughout the rest of the year, it will involve several different stories of Camarilla, Sabbat, werewolves, hunters, all sorts of stuff. But tonight we begin with the first of our Camarilla stories that takes place in Montreal, my city, and it's a story I've been wanting to tell for a long, long time because my city is very dear to me, and I've been wanting to play a game there since I started playing LARP and Vampire originally in Montreal. So my connection to it and to this game are very strong. We will meet our players very shortly here. We do have one player that is missing tonight. Unfortunately, Maria was not able to make it tonight, but will be joining us in the near future. Thank you very much to everyone joining us here. I do want to give a few very brief shout outs before we begin. Music tonight will be by Tim at tabletopaudio.com and Carl Casey from Bandcamp, so you can check those links out there. We have a train already. Thank you so much, everyone, for the train running. It's a great way to get this little show of ours started. So thank you very much. We appreciate you all being here. I do want to say also thank you to Best Mod, Raven Sarah. Thank you, Raven Sarah, as always, for being here, and Miko for producing this episode for me, as I'm still on vacation and I'm not set up to do it. So thank you very much, Miko, for stepping up to the plate, as always, and backstopping me on this. I do want to say that if you want to help the players, you can do so through the donation of bits. 200 bits buys the player of your choice a night move. For 500 bits, you can buy every player a night move. What a night move does is that it allows players to spend a night move to either avoid a messy critical, avoid a bestial failure, or to add 2 dice to a roll. So if you're interested in helping the players out, getting involved in the game, there you go. That's the way to do it. Without further ado, let us jump into this story, which follows the True Cross Chronicle that we ran last year on this channel. It takes place in the same world, just a few months after the final events of that story. We are dealing with a world where the Gehenna Wars have begun, although they're still just a distant rumbling. The Second Inquisition is also slowly ramping up, thanks to the actions of a company called Aegis, who now work for the government and are collecting information about supernatural entities, and at Christmas last year blew up the Vienna Chantry. So, you know, little simple things like that are happening. Thank you very much, Valkyrie, for this, the donation. And Lomax also, thank you. So everyone's got 2 night moves already, thanks to Lomax and Valkyrie. Thank you very much. Yeah, so the Chantry has been blown up. The Kindred have kind of taken to ground a little bit. A lot of the elders have gone to the Middle East and Africa to answer the beckoning. This leaves a lot of room for other people to step in, and that's what we're going to see here tonight. So we are in February 2025 in Montreal, Canada. Imagine a once glorious movie star, now old, forgotten, her former beauty faded and hidden behind the crumbling facade of dirty makeup. The star puts on a brave face, and here or there a glimmer of former brilliance and attractiveness still manages to shine through between cracks of age, dust, and neglect. But the overall image is one of pity, of deep melancholy, of regret for a most glorious past laid low by time and neglect. Montreal, once the dazzling jewel of North America, is now a shadow of its former self. In the mid-20th century, the city gleamed with promise and prosperity, its skyline a proud symbol of cosmopolitan flair. It was a vibrant hub of culture, innovation, industry where French and English cultures harmonized and creativity flourished in every corner. Montreal's bustling streets were alive with laughter, music, and conversation late into the night. Restaurants served some of the best food in the world. The days and night were alive with energy and hope, and the hum of a growing economy, while its nightlife, art scene, and diverse neighborhoods made it a destination for those seeking excitement and adventure. a rare beauty of European elegance set amid the towering monoliths of corporate America and the cobblestone streets of yesteryear. But time, like an unrelenting tide, has worn away Montreal's once unshakable vibrancy. The grand architecture that once commanded attention now stands in quiet decay, many buildings weathered by neglect, their ornate facades fading under the weight of years, boarded up, dark, forlorn, forgotten. Once thriving industrial sectors have moved elsewhere to avoid increasingly draconian and nonsensical language laws, leaving behind empty factories and forgotten warehouses, their rusting skeletons echoing a city that has lost much of its economic power. The streets that once thrived with energy now feel hollow, with sections of the city falling into disrepair, apathy, and disillusionment. The energetic pulse that defied Montreal's golden years has dulled, its rhythm faltering as young people migrate elsewhere for opportunity and to avoid the increasingly xenophobic politics of fear-mongering. The once proud cultural institutions, while still beloved by those who remain, have struggled to adapt to the changing times. Museums, theaters, galleries now stand in the shadow of their former prestige, grappling with the realities of budget cuts and a diminishing sense of urgency in an increasingly globalized world. Montreal's famous festivals, once packed to the brim with tourists and locals alike, no longer command the attention they once did, their former exuberance tempered by years of economic stagnation or shut down entirely in the wake of the pandemic. The contrast between the city's former glory and its current state is palpable. Montreal, with all its potential and beauty, now faces the harsh reality of a city caught between nostalgia and the need for reinvention. And as for the kindred, well, just as they say a pet comes to resemble its master, so too is a city a reflection of its hidden lords. The kindred population seems unfazed by the desultory state of their city, continuing to amuse themselves through nights made solemn and quiet by the somber mood of the place. Much like the human society, the kindred population is divided, with some of the clans, Malkavian, Ventrue, Tremere, and of course Toreador, pledging fealty to Prince Corinne Van Horn in the city above, while the Bruja, Gangrel, and the newly arrived La Sombra support the upstart Prince Max, Clan Nosferatu, in the underground city of Ville-Marie. And just as Prince Van Horn, obsessed with the aesthetics of decay and entropy, marvels at the crumbling state of her city, the rest of the kindred go about their business, more fearful of the rumblings of war, of Gehenna, coming from the Middle East than they are the decrepitude of their home. And with so many elders gone, lured by the beckoning to the Gehenna wars brewing in the Middle East and Africa, there is a power vacuum left behind. And the stage is set for those kindred called Ancillae, those with 1 or 2 centuries of unlife, to rise up and carve their own piece of the night for themselves. Kurt. St. James Church in Montreal, often referred to as the Neon Church, is a striking and unusual building tucked away in a quiet, almost forgotten corner of the downtown area. Its reputation comes not only from its somewhat hidden location, but also from its bold, eccentric appearance. The church stands out in a cityscape filled with historical and architectural reverence, offering a jarring contrast with its garish, colorful aesthetic. From the outside, the church appears almost surreal, bathed in neon glow that illuminates the surrounding streets with an otherworldly light. The vibrant hues, often in electric blues, hot pinks, lurid yellows, create a stark contrast to the surrounding urban decay, giving the area an atmosphere of strange vibrancy. The neon lights stretch across the church's facade, outlining its features in a way that feels almost like a spectacle. The Neon Church stands as an anomaly in the heart of Montreal, a church that isn't merely a place of worship, but a reflection of the raw, often unspoken parts of urban life. The congregation, which is far from conventional, consists mostly of marginalized individuals, prostitutes, street people, and others who find solace in its peculiar embrace. It's garish, strange, and deeply human in a way. It might challenge anyone who stumbles across it. Your eyes open. You're in the confessional. You must have drifted off. A fragment of memory rises to the surface of your thoughts. A young woman, dark hair, at the foot of the cross on Mount Royal. Bodies surround her. She looks at you with a mixture of fear and desire. A wooden crucifix hangs around her neck. She smells oddly of paint, flecks of color adorning her fingers, and even a daub of purple coloring her chin. You lean forward slowly, agonizingly slowly, and you bite her. Her blood flowing into your mouth with all the sensual power of the touch of God on your soul. She then in turn drinks hungrily from you. Father, you're drawn out of your reverie by the voice of one of your flock on the other side of the screen in a confessional. This is Laurent, one of the street kids who sells his body to feed his own hunger. I saw him again, Father. The vampire I told you about, I saw him again.
Did you now, my child? Where did you see him this time?
He was at China Club.
At the China Club?
Yeah.
And you're certain it was the same one?
Yeah, I talked to him a bit. His name is Clyde.
Clyde. Okay, Clyde it is.
I'm a little afraid, Father. I fear he may be after me because I'm so full of sin.
No,
is he sent to punish me?
No, my child. He's not sent to punish you. You are with sin, but all of humanity is with sin. All things God creates is with sin. He is no better than you or I. The only difference is you repent your sins. Your sins are simply there for the sake of survival. God does not punish those who merely seek to survive. This Clyde, though, he will meet God's justice. I assure you, my son.
You believe me then? Because a lot of the others don't. I've been telling the others about him, trying to get them to stay away from him, to be careful, but they all think I'm, I don't know, stupid, or they don't believe me in any case. But you believe me, don't you?
I have no reason not to believe you.
What should I do?
You should fall to your knees and beg for forgiveness. Spend the night here. Pray, think on your sins, and know that your sins do not define you, and understand that while you may repent this evening, you will sin again tomorrow, for that is human nature. I do feel the need to stretch my legs this evening, so perhaps I will pay a visit to the proprietor of the China Club. I believe he owes me a favor or two.
All right, I guess I can stay here tonight. It's getting cold. It's very cold outside. Anyways, so can I ask you a question, Father?
Always.
Is it the end times? Have things gone too far?
For some. But with every end is a new beginning. So, really, the destruction, the end, is just a new way to create something new, isn't it?
I'm not sure I understand, Father, but if you say so, I think I can take comfort in that.
I know what you can take comfort in, my boy. The sisters recently returned from the grocery. It's a fully stocked kitchen. Make sure you eat well tonight. If this vampire, as you say, has fed on you, you may be just a bit peckish.
Oh, no, I didn't let him touch me. He wanted me to go back to his place, but I wouldn't let him. I wouldn't follow him. I was way too afraid, Father. I was way too afraid. To be honest, I thought maybe I was imagining things like, sometimes I see things like if it's been a while since I've had, a bit of my medicine. I see things sometimes, and I'm afraid, Father, that my memories are slowly being replaced or disappearing. I wake up having done things I don't remember doing. I don't remember things I've done. I feel like I'm, what's that thing, that you put the pasta in to let the water through the
cauldron?
The whatever it's called. I feel like that. I feel like everything is just kind of passing through me, and I have no way of holding on to anything. Like my entire life is just slipping through my fingers. I don't mean to be insolent, but you're pretty old, right, Father? How do you hold on to life?
Well, by having faith in the fact that the work that I do and taking in those around me and showing them the way, I find solace in the work.
How can you still have faith, Father?
Because I choose to.
Is it really that simple?
For some. For others, you must confront the demons of your lives in order to find faith, or lose it. Unfortunately, that is the greatest sin of all, that we have choice.
I'm just afraid that the demons of my life are my life, Father.
No. You are in my flock, and your demons will always be kept at bay. So long as you believe in me.
I do, Father. You're the only person who continues to show me kindness.
Rest well, boy.
You're truly a wonderful human.
Rest well.
And he crosses himself backwards. He slips out of the confessional. As he leaves, you smell again the blood of that woman at the foot of the cross. It's difficult. You don't remember doing that. You certainly haven't created a child, or have you? It feels real. It feels so real. You can smell her hair, the paint, the blood.
What is this you show me? Is this my Mary Magdalene? Is this my to-be? Or is this another temptation?
From the empty confessional next to you, where you see only a faint outline in the shadows, you hear a voice. A voice that is very familiar to you. Aren't all things obsessions to you? Aren't all worldly sins, all flesh, obsessions to you?
They're not all obsessions, demon, but they are certainly appetites.
Be careful who you call demon, brother.
Are you the one who plagues me with this tempting and powerful sight?
You don't hear anything. Somewhere in the church, someone coughs discreetly. You hear someone walk in, the door closes, shuffling of feet.
I think he stands and he walks out of the confessional.
And as you do, Ian, the Bloom Art Gallery, nestled in the charming cobbled streets of Montreal's Old Port, is a sleek, intimate space that radiates sophistication. Its understated exterior, a minimalist blend of glass and steel, stands in contrast to the rustic buildings surrounding it, offering a glimpse of modernity within the historical district. Tonight, the gallery is a hive of activity as the staff puts the final touches on the upcoming street art exhibit, hoping to ride the coattails of the recent Banksy exposition in Montreal. It's a calculated decision, an attempt to capture the zeitgeist of the city's recent fascination with graffiti and urban art, and to appeal to a growing, wealthier clientele eager to invest in the trend. Inside, there's a sense of organized chaos. Walls are being prepped to showcase a mix of graffiti-inspired works, vibrant, bold strokes of color clashing against minimalist white frames, raw expressionism challenging the traditionally refined nature of the gallery. Large, oversized canvases bearing the marks of spray paint, stencils, and starker symbols are being carefully arranged. Staff members dressed in black move quickly but efficiently, making sure the final touches are just right. There's a hum of anticipation in the air, a quiet but palpable buzz as the gallery prepares to unveil art that's both rebellious and upscale. A few select pieces, original works inspired by the elusive Banksy himself and other renowned street artists, stand out under the warm glow of spotlights. They have been carefully, expertly curated to appeal to a sophisticated audience. They're somewhat rebellious messages wrapped in a package of luxury. The gallery's typically whitewashed walls now hold a more rugged, raw energy, the colorful defiance of street art, meeting the polished expectations of an elite crowd. The quiet clink of champagne glasses can be heard in the background as staff prepares for the evening's VIP opening, anticipating a flood of art collectors, critics, and the city's cultural elite. All is as it should be, except for a quiet storm brewing at the center of the gallery, near where a significant section of the exhibit is clearly missing. Arkham Olivier, standing in the middle of this art gallery, staring at this empty space where the works of Olga Volko are missing. What's going through your mind as you see the gallery manager, Steve Winson, wringing his hands, clearly afraid to approach him?
Stephen?
Yes, Mr. Olivier. He approaches very differently.
Stephen, I'm standing here with my eyes closed, and I think you know why. I'm going to open them, and I hope that all of this is a major nightmare for your sake. Stephen.
Yes, sir.
What's wrong with this?
The works of Miss Volko are missing. Miss Volko wanted me to tell you that after much reflection, she has decided that she cannot stand for this rude commercialization of her art, and that she hopes very much that her decision teaches you a lesson about trying to get, and these are her words, let me stress, sir, these are her words, your grubby little elitist paws on the work of the people.
Stephen, when did you find of this?
About 15 minutes ago.
15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
15 minutes ago.
Yeah. We expected Ms. Volko to be late with the delivery of her art. She did inform us today that it was going to be a little late. I trusted her. And I should not have done that, obviously.
So your first mistake. One of many this evening, I'm starting to realize.
You have to believe me, Monsieur Olivier. First of all, let me tell you on behalf of everyone here how grateful we are that you are here, giving us your time, your incredible knowledge, your talent, your skill, your passion. This exhibit would not have been so grand as it is without you, and we're deeply, deeply grateful for your presence here. And I know that this is a small fly in the ointment, a little false note in what is sure to be a grand opera. And perhaps we don't let this one little false note wreck the whole evening.
Little. Well, Stephen, I'm very happy that this is something that you want to diminish. Something, it's very small. Yes, very small. The biggest centerpiece of this entire exhibit is not in front of me because some backwater artist decides that they want to teach me a lesson. And you've learned of this now 20 minutes ago. Wonderful, Stephen. There's your second mistake. Let's talk about your third, if we can. Your third is you thinking that standing in front of me and layering excuse after excuse for something that you now found out 25 minutes ago was going to Stephen.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
It's okay. Then he walks over to him and he puts his hands on his shoulders and he goes, "It's okay."
I'm being informed that Miss Volko is here. Would you perhaps like to take this up with her personally?
Good job in not making number 5, Stephen.
I do strive for perfection, sir, when possible.
Also, if you could tell Constance I need to see her.
Right away. This way, Miss Volko awaits you in the.
No. Miss Volko will see me here, where she should have been. Stephen.
I will tell her this. And I will fetch your assistant right away.
Thank you, Stephen.
And again, my apologies. Yes, absolutely, yes. He turns away and he walks off. You turn around, see again this empty space, and you notice that there are a couple of other workers who are hovering on the edge, kind of not too sure what to do. Your assistant, Constance, approaches. Mr. Olivier, I'm told that there are a couple of other artists now who, emboldened by Ms. Volko's actions, have decided to have their art also withdrawn from the exhibit tonight.
Okay. You tell those other artists
I actually heard the quotation marks around the word artist there, sir.
Thank you. That's why you're around, Constance. You tell those other artists, if they decide to pull from this exhibit, it will be the last thing they ever create. I don't think I need to elaborate, Constance. Do what you can, convince them to stay.
Absolutely, sir. You know you can count on me.
One other thing, Constance.
Yeah.
This exhibit's going to run a little late. And I think it would be best if somebody contacted Steven's family and let them know he won't be home this evening. Can you do that for me, Constance? I think it would only be fair.
Of course, sir.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. I believe...
Hungry. Are you hungry, Constance?
No, I had a bit of a sandwich before we began, but if you're feeling peckish, I can see what I can arrange.
A bit. Steven is what? Local, would say?
Yes, he is. He is the gallery manager here. I think that perhaps teaching Steven a lesson might be good, but I don't think that removing him from the equation entirely would be very advisable.
A finger, maybe.
Of course.
2. The important ones, please. Again, like I said, I am peckish.
Of course, sir. I believe Ms. Volko is waiting to talk to you, and when you turn around, you see something that I will tell you about in a moment. Meanwhile, darling, you are draped over a wooden altar, in a trance and running incantations under your breath. Fletcher, your sire, is working on your back, at the base of your spine. You can only endure one of these sessions a month, but the work is nearly complete. A full year of Fletcher inking Toisichel's designs into your skin. Fletcher had to decipher the magical theorem and transpose them into arcane designs, an esoteric map of sorts. With every part that is finished, you've gotten deeper into a vision. A month ago, you saw her for the first time. As Fletcher inked your flesh, you got closer and closer to a room, done entirely in black and white. Then a chair began to appear, lined in blood-red cloth. Then a book, a Bible, also blood-red. Then a month ago, as you lay here on your back and Fletcher tattooed your throat, you saw her. A nun in a strange old vestment, sitting in a chair, holding the blood-red Bible. Some research revealed her to be Sister Saint Alphonse, made famous in a painting in the 1800s, an unsettling creation often called the Canadian Mona Lisa. Now as you recite the words of the incantations, words that have been revealed to you and your sire during these intense rituals where your bodies unite and your souls, cloven apart so long ago by the universe, merge and become one again, Fletcher finishes the inkwork. Your senses are transported. You voyage elsewhere. You see the room, black and white tiled floor, bookshelves, candles. You know what's coming. The molten silver poured straight into the freshly inked wounds, making them permanent. But also the joining, the moment of greatest apotheosis. It took centuries for your two souls to reunite across the chasm of time and space, but it was inevitable. You found each other again, and your soul has returned to its rightful place within his, subsumed, enveloped. And as he enters you, and your body has also become one, he pours the silver into the wounds, just as you pronounce the final words of the incantation. Your senses, heightened by the ritual, explode and expand as the deep pleasure of the physical union, the flesh-searing pain of the silver, unite and open the world to you. Somewhere in the ritual chamber beneath Fletcher's Haven, your body shakes and spasms, and loud paroxysms of joy and pain consume you. That is far away. You now sit in a blood-red chair of your own, the pale, haunting face of the nun who is sitting across from you, red Bible in her lap, smiles and says, "You have finally arrived. It is good to see you again."
Is it really you? Are you here?
Who else would it be? You've been looking for me for a long time.
I have, sister. Do you know me?
We have never met, yet I've always known you. We've always known each other.
For so long you've been a dream. Maybe I'm still in that dream. Who's to say?
You are gifted, very gifted, to be able to come here, travel here.
You've worked really hard.
I'm aware. And as for what you seek, Trois Echelles' greatest discovery, you know it will elevate you to a higher state of being.
I dream of it. Do you know it?
I know parts of it. I know that right now you are nothing but hunger. Well, if you follow in his footsteps and climb the 7 holy steps, reach the pinnacle, your hunger will no longer matter. Is this what you seek?
It is.
You wish to be different, above, beyond.
Enlightened.
My dear Elise, if this is your wish, you must uncover Trois Echelles' secret, the one he hid with every ounce of his sagacity, his cleverness, his cunning, his evil. The Black Lodges are not places, and each will reveal the next, but you cannot search for them. They are experiences. You must live them. Let every inch of your body tremble in pleasure and pain and fear and joy and exult in the state of being flesh and blood, for the blood is everything, and through it lies your evolution.
You speak of things I live every day, sister.
Yes, indeed. You need to find the blood of Trois Echelles. Your mage had a lover, one of les filles du roi. Madeleine de Rouen was her name. The one who holds your soul and heart in his will know where to find them. But that is your first step towards the Black Lodge, the first Black Lodge. She reaches forward and she puts the red Bible in your lap. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
The one who sent you here. You are inextricably bound to him. Have you no wish for emancipation?
No. I belong to him and he belongs to me. Haven't you ever belonged to someone, sister?
And she looks down at her habit, her nun's habit, and the crucifix hanging around her neck. And she looks back up at you and goes, I'm glad to see we understand each other. She reaches out, takes your hand. We will likely not see each other again. Not until you find what you're looking for. But then again, we're not really seeing each other now, are we? And as she says that, the image of her starts to dissipate. The pain in your lower back, where Fletcher has poured the molten silver to make the tattoos that he's inked into your flesh permanent, even through your rising on the morrow, is beginning to subside. You feel this strange feeling that you get whenever you travel like this. You feel the beast re-enter into you, as if in those moments where you travel, it's separated from you, but it lies there in wait, and you feel it slink back inside of you like a beast inside a cave. It growls a warning, then settles down. Fletcher's holding your face gently in his hand. Did you finally talk to her?
I did.
I hope she made some kind of sense.
The blood. Blood of the mage. A shell.
Is actual blood or a descendant? What did she tell you?
You have to find the blood. That the lodge is there, not a place, not somewhere we can just walk into. Their feelings. The blood is the key.
Some kind of descendant, then. Interesting. I think I might have an idea. There's a place in McGill University that might have records that go back that far. I mean, it's dealing with the Ventrue, but as he's talking, he bends down and he wraps you up in the little cloth that's on the ground. He picks you up very gently and he carries you and brings you into the next room where you see your attendant Faraday has already drawn the bath, and gently Fletcher places you in it. And he kneels down next to the bath and he begins to wash you as he speaks. I might be able to get access to it, but Galen Redpath, the Ventral Primogen, is a bit of a prick. It's going to be hard to convince him to let us get in there. You did really good. I always knew that I might be the conductor, but that you were both the orchestra and the sheet music.
The sister asked about you.
How does she know about me?
The bond. Perhaps she could sense it.
I get the feeling that the sister is not somebody else. I think she might be part of you somehow, and that might be why she knew this. The ritual that Twazashad created that I used on you is one that digs deep inside of you and not necessarily opens doorways to other places. The doorway is you. and simply guides you through into deeper parts of your own subconscious. Deeper than you've ever been, really. I would not have attempted this with a human, for sure.
So clever.
Twas the shed was clever. But he didn't have what I have. He didn't have you.
A red Bible.
I don't know. Doesn't mean anything to me. Does it mean anything to you?
I don't know. She put it in my lap before she left.
Well, you didn't come back with it. Maybe we'll find out about it down the line. Are you hungry?
Famished.
Faraday. And as he says this, the door opens and your attendant walks in. As he comes in, you're stricken again with his resemblance to someone from your past, and it, as always, is a little jarring. What can I do for you, Lord? It's not for me. It's for your charge, and he looks over to you.
I think she... Come here, my darling.
He approaches. What would he call you? Would he call you by your name, lady, mistress?
I think mistress, likely.
He comes over and kneels on the other side of the bathtub. Mistress.
She touches his face, and for a moment her eyes are lost in time. You're so beautiful, Faraday.
Thank you, mistress.
Perhaps I could steal from you a kiss.
Anything you desire.
And she's going to kind of use that hand holding his face and tilt his head to the side as she sinks into his neck.
And as you do, and as the familiar taste of Faraday's blood washes into your mouth, the beast perks up, feeling a feeding come in, and you feel it satisfied. It's growling deep in your stomach, one of pleasure, as you drink deeply from your attendant, your ghoul. And as you do, back in the church, you step out of the confessional and you see sitting in the front pew, Kurt, someone who looks remarkably like you. The major difference is that his collar is also black. And as he looks up to you, you realize he does not look at all like you. You recognize John, the seminary, who looks absolutely nothing like you and isn't dressed in a brown tweed coat over his clerical vestments. Ah, Father Dubois. I didn't know you were here tonight.
I'm always here, John. It's my calling, one would say.
You know, all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy.
What brings you here tonight?
I was feeling a little lost, I guess. It's been a trying few months. I tried to keep up my faith and my hope, but I see the state of the world and state of the city, constant deterioration of it. It makes it more and more difficult to, keep that spring in my step.
But you know as well as I that these are simply mortal trappings. You know that thine kingdom is great and vast and truly magnificent to behold.
Alex, why do you always speak this way? Why do you always speak as if you're reading scripture? Why don't you come over here and sit down next to me and let's just have a conversation? Person to person. I'm not one of your flock that you need to impress or guide out of the darkness. I'm just like you, a simple man with a bit too much faith, trying to, shepherd the others where I myself feel guideless sometimes.
I have so many that come in and out of here, much saying the same, of being lost in the decay of our once great and powerful city. That sometimes it's very easy for me to just see all as my flock.
You long for the old days, don't you, Alex?
Say it again.
You long for the old days, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Certainly you don't think that the old days, when our power of the church here was so absolute as to be intrinsic to the everyday lives of the inhabitants, were good days. Certainly a balance is necessary.
I miss the days where a man's faith was just as integral to his being as the air he breathes. We are, as of late, more often than not found wanting in this technological age for faith. When the answers to everything are at your fingertips, you stop looking above for those answers.
Do you know what one of my parishioners told me about 2 weeks ago? Maybe a young man, someone who, the kind of person you don't see a lot in these places anymore. Young and somewhat on the cusp of losing their faith, but still coming to services. I was talking to him, and several times throughout our discussion, he looked down at his phone and was doing something on it, and it didn't seem to impact his ability to listen to me or to discuss with me. It was just a second nature to him. And as I took notice of this and asked him if he didn't find this disturbing or distracting, or if he didn't want to give his full attention to the conversation, he smiled and he pointed at my hands where I was worrying, as I always do in my rosary beads. Half of my thoughts on the above. Then he said, maybe what's happening, Father, is not that we're losing faith, but rather that we've changed our faith. We have faith in different things. And I found that interesting. It was a different spin on things for sure, and it got me to wondering if that's not what's happening, and if that's not just a simple evolution, a simple continuation of the logical continuation of where things are, that each era calls for its own type of faith, and perhaps that these young folks today are the ones who are in the right of it. Perhaps it is us who need to move on.
And it's times like this that I can't help but feel, though, that when we as a people, our faith is found lacking, and our beliefs wavering and or changing. There's a great culling. And I'm by no means a fire and brimstone man myself, though it does get brought up from time to time. We had the destruction of Sodom. We had the Great Flood. We've had earthquakes. We've had storms. We've had entire sections of the world blotted off the map for finding, oh, what is it? I even like the band, New Religion. But tried and true through it all, we always circle back to the one thing that we know. And this isn't me being preachy. This is me just stating history. Every time we, as a people, as a species, waver, something happens. Something catastrophic. Something great. And then suddenly, there are more and more believers than there were before. I believe it was an actual uptick in that COVID. They said it was a global plague, and there was a massive uptick in people who suddenly found God again, found religion, found their faith again, because they didn't believe that the medicines would help them anymore, and that the medicine of above is what would heal them.
So is that what you're saying then, that all it takes is a great catastrophe, that people are only motivated when the most horrendous things happen? And if that's the case, then what does it say about what we believe in, that it's
I
only
believe
good in those instances?
John, I believe that we are a willful people. We have free will and the freedom of choice. And it is easy to be bombarded by all those things around us, to cause us to waver, to cause us to question things. But that is the truest test. Because faith is not questioning. Faith is belief. And there's nothing to say, John, that I haven't questioned my own faith over many, many years. But yet here I am. Because I find that when I have the ability to put divine will into the hearts of those around me, that their choices become much easier, that their lives become much easier.
And all it takes is a catastrophe, a world-ending event.
It doesn't have to be a world-ending event. You'd be surprised at the number of people that can be believers off of one simple death.
Whose death, sir? And you hear the voice of Chloe, and you realize you're sitting alone in the front pew of the church. Are you all right, sir?
Yes. I was just rehearsing Sunday evening's sermon.
It sounded very moving, sir.
Well, that's the intent, isn't it? Tell me, how are you this evening?
Oh, I'm quite fine, thank you. I didn't want to disturb you. You seemed to very, very much into it. I listened to some of it, and I like what you had to say about the fact that it's not the catastrophe. I think that's good. It's, you know me, I'm very nervous, and I'm always expecting the worst of things. I was expecting the other shoe to drop, and so on and so forth. And well, it's good to know that perhaps it's not always about that, but rather about choices that we make along the way.
That is the greatest thing that we have.
Indeed. Indeed, Father.
Tell me, what can I do for you this evening?
I was asked to give this to you, and she hands over an envelope, small square envelope. When you turn it over, there's a wax seal on it. And you recognize the symbol of the prince.
Do you think you can hold things down here this evening, sister?
I think so. We have a few people in the soup kitchen, and I think there's maybe going to be about a dozen or so people sleeping here tonight. Nothing I can't handle. Is everything okay?
Yes, I've been called away to the head diocese this evening to answer some questions and receive some information.
So late.
Well, God never sleeps.
That's true. And thankful for that.
As am I. Do look after Jessica. She has developed a bit of a cough, and as the winter months are coming along, she still impresses on wearing, I believe they are called a micro mini now, and I know that she is very much going to be catching her death.
In my day, we called those belts.
I thought that was the same thing as well, but the 70s were a very odd time. Anyway,
if I may trouble you, and she looks around and then leans in, when do you think I might get to commune with the blood of Christ?
We have but a moment now. He takes the envelope, puts it in. Please, sister. And he goes to the altar, and he looks left and he looks right, and he grabs the cup. He raises it before the cross, cuts his palm and squeezes a bit into the cup.
She comes by and kneels next to you.
The blood of Christ given to you. Drink from this and live forever.
Amen, she says as she guzzles it down.
I think he pulls the napkin, the cloth, wipes the side of her mouth just a little bit, wipes the cup, puts it back into the reliquary. Now please, do see to Jessica, if you will, my child.
Yes, my lord. She gets up and with a bit of a spring in her step, heads off. How are you going to be traveling tonight, Father?
I'm going to take the bus.
Nice. As a member of the clergy, you get a free monthly pass.
Multi-pass.
Meanwhile, back in old Montreal at the art gallery, this young woman with all the attitude in the world and all the righteousness in the world in her eyes, wearing these paint-stained overalls, Olga Volko, stands in front of you. Her hair is this wild tangle of dark curls, and she just shakes them as you approach her.
Well,
I see you got my message, Monsieur Olivier.
I did. I got your message. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Care to explain?
Well, I just think what you're doing is absolutely disgusting, and I thought you needed to learn a lesson. So I taught you one. You thought you had me, right? You thought you could just show up in your BMW and hand out your big greasy palm, and I would just lap from it.
Absolutely.
Well, it was easy enough to play you because that's what you expected and that's what you thought should happen. But I'm here to tell you that what we create, what those like me who live and work on the streets create, is art by the people for the people. It is not ownable. It does not belong to you or any of the rich fucks that are sitting outside right now freezing their asses off for a chance to come in here and buy something that they can never themselves know or create, which is art. And I honestly don't care, Monsieur Olivier, about rumors of your temper, of your exactitude, of your thirst for vengeance and for crushing those who do not live up to your expectations. I say this to you, sir. Look to you for failings first. See what you're doing to art. See how you're diminishing its value and the value of the people who create it with what you do. And if you are indeed someone who values art and who loves art, Monsieur Olivier, then perhaps you may want to revisit how you handle it and how you behave towards it.
Oh, you're finished. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, powerful words. A true measure of an artist, standing up for what they believe in the face of capitalism, right? What I do here, frankly, is none of your concern, because these things that you seem to create, these pieces of art, they have absolutely nothing to do with you. You're a name, and not even a good one. So yes, I pulled up in an Audi, by the way, and I greased your palms, and you gladly took what I offered. And so I expect a return, madam. Please.
Too late. I already donated everything you gave me to the Church of St. James. They do good work there.
Do they?
They help people. They provide food and shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Take it up with them.
I'd rather take it up with you. Blake, what's the area that we're in right now?
You are like in one of the little wings. So this art gallery, it's kind of this big wide open space. Then there's like two wings that go down to the back, and that's where there's the warehouse and all those kinds of things. So you're in like in the side. There's people kind of milling about here and there, but I will say that not right where you are, but. It's dicey for the Masquerade if you're thinking of doing something a little.
Miss Olga, I applaud the soapbox that you stand on, honestly, truly. But if what you think you do here is art, you are sadly mistaken. I have seen actual art. I've heard. I've felt it. And in some cases, I was there when it was written. And I'm very proud to admit to that. In this finger painting that you are so proud of, you are lucky that it even stands in the halls of a Goodwill. It's a crappy thrift store in America. You catch my drift.
I have to tell you, Monsieur Olivier, if that's your professional appraisal of my art, then I feel very emboldened, because the fact that you understand nothing about it means that it is truly art. Because
Oh, no.
the reality
That-
of art would elude one such as you.
No, that's my personal opinion. My professional opinion is quite different. Absolutely. I think you have no vision. I think you lack in what you see in the actual real world. You live with these rose-tinted glasses that hint at no sense of reality. You have no creativity. You merely copy those that you think is nice and urban and makes you feel good. Honestly, you were my last choice. That's my professional opinion. Now, here's what we can do. I leave it in your hands. You can present what was promised, or those rumors that you so heard. You can tempt fate to see if they're true or not. I'd like to intimidate her in this moment.
Okay. Go for it. You know what I don't have? I don't have dice.
Oh no.
There's a little bag here. There might be dice. Oh yeah, there's dice. All right.
Let's see here. So just straight intimidation, or
No, so you're going to use your... go ahead and use your manipulation with that.
heard? I have 3 successes.
You lord over her and you pour some of your, infamous bad humor right on top of her. And you can see her kind of withstand it for a second, but then you see a crack. And she says, my finger paintings. You want me to provide you with my finger paintings? All right. And you see her steel her resolve. And she reaches into her overall and pulls out a tube of paint, smears a bunch of paint in her right hand, and then hauls off and slaps you across the face. Now, I'm not going to let her just hit you. If you try to move out of the way, we'll make a roll.
I'm going to take this hit.
You're going to take it? It does no damage, but her hand just wetly slaps right across your face and leaves, finger marks of bright orange paint across your face. And she says,
Now you...
I always sign my work.
Now you see that. That is art. That had feeling. That had some emotion. Creativity was lacking. But that was really good. It's a shame, though.
You can tell she's afraid, by the way. Like, she's shaking in her boots right now. And it was just like her bottled up rage that allowed you to do that in a move.
Yeah. You seem to be in decent shape. Yeah? Ms. Volko?
What does that have to do with anything?
Through that hallway leads into the warehouse, where we keep the rest of the mindless crap. You should know the way. In the warehouse, Ms. Volko, there's a back door. And I'm giving you 30 seconds to reach it.
You're a monster, Monsieur Olivier.
You don't know the half of it. 25 seconds.
She tries to stand, but she starts to back up.
20 seconds.
She turns and she starts speed walking.
15 seconds.
She disappears through the door.
Time's up. And I make chase.
And as you get ready to go, you hear your assistant go, "That was well handled, sir."
Thank you. I'll be. Oh,
I
this is
have
Versace.
a letter for you.
What? Oh,
From
who's it from?
Guilty.
I think he snatches it and like his fangs is already descended. He's like,
You're showing, sir.
when did you get this?
Approximately 1 minute 33 seconds ago, sir.
People. Do they need me now?
I have not opened it, sir.
Fuck. Okay. I'm so hungry. Thank you, Constance. Make sure our guest is well taken care of. I'm gonna need this later, and I open it up.
You open it up. Inside is a flyer for Faufones Electriques, which is French for electric ass cheeks, which you know is a punk rock bar in downtown Montreal where the Prince likes to hang out.
Take out, maybe. Damn it. Constance, I'm going to be gone the rest of the evening. Can you make sure that the monkeys don't ruin the museum?
Absolutely, sir.
Perfect.
What shall we do about the empty space?
What do you mean? That's Miss Volkel's new exhibition piece. The absence of art in a dying capitalistic world.
Very well, sir.
Thank you so much, Constance.
We'll see you tomorrow, sir.
See you tomorrow.
She goes back, and as you head out towards your Audi, back in the chantry, you feel better having fed, having been bathed. You are now wearing a robe. You were sitting with Fletcher in his study, both of you drinking and enjoying a little wine as he's flipping through some books. The after effects of the ritual, the discussion with the nun, the feeding, all of that have really made you feel at peace. You have sated the beast, you've sated yourself, you've accomplished a lot. You are kind of floating a little bit, almost. Just feeling good, kind of like a little light buzz in some ways. And as Fletcher's pouring through the books, he says, I think McGill University is the answer. We're probably going to be able to find that there. I'm going to have to talk to fucking Galen Redpath. God, he makes me want to eat my own teeth.
Galen. Do I know him?
You met him at Elysium in November. He's the insufferable prick. Looks a little bit like, what's his name? The actor there, played Loki, whatever. Don't worry about it. He's a fucking asshole. He's an asshole. He's a venture. What are you gonna do? But I should be able to convince him to let us get in there. I have to petition the prince. We'll see. Do you have, amongst your group of followers, do you have someone who plays the glockenspiel? You really don't.
She looks. Is Faraday in the room with us?
Faraday is always just outside the door.
Faraday.
The door opens, he steps in, mistress.
Ask him again.
Faraday, amongst your mistress's followers, is there anyone who plays the glockenspiel? I don't know off the top of my head, sir, but I can certainly find out. I put down the back burner for now. We may not need that.
Oh, but he can ask them very easily. Fletcher's got this little box that lights up and he talks to people through it.
You don't have a cell phone, do you? And Faraday's like, yeah, but I'm very careful how I use it, sir. I don't talk about it.
He's not
Anything.
allowed to bring it in here. It gives me headaches.
Well, those things are bad for you. And they're also bad for everybody else. That's all right, Faraday. Never mind the glockenspiel. We'll get back to that. I have to ask you, my dear. And he comes over with his glass of wine. He sits down next to you and he throws a leg over the arm of the chair and just sort of bouncing it back and forth. Do you think that there's any way you might talk to this nun again without the benefit of the ritual? I mean, and you don't remember her or anything like that from your past, anyone you might have encountered that looked like her, or...
No. It's almost as if she lives inside me.
Well, I think she does somehow. I think she's part of you somehow. She said, what was it you said, that you had never met, but you knew each other?
Yeah. Like in a dream. Perhaps that's the way. Do you think I could dream of her?
Something has been happening lately in the city that I've been tracking, sort of a hobby more than anything else. And he gets up and he goes through a bunch of papers on his desk and he comes back and he sits down and he's got a bunch of yellow legal pads and he flips through them and he goes, I'm tracking, oh yeah, here. And he shows you this list. I've been tracking. There have been a number of our brethren who've come to me or to Jeanne, our primogen, to ask about strange dreams they've been having. There's some sort of epidemic of dreams, people seeing memories that are not theirs or recovering memories that they thought they'd forgotten, and it always feels kind of dreamlike. And it's you describing it that way that made me think of this. I really didn't think there was a connection, but you describing it as sort of a dream made me think of that. I'm wondering if there's some sort of connection there. It's as if people are unearthing the past of this city through memories and dreams.
It's like the city's speaking to us.
I guess in some way, that's an interesting way of putting it. The nun that you saw, we know is an actual nun that existed in the city a long time ago, that the painting was made of. This painting was here last year in the city. I don't know where it's at now.
I think disappeared.
No, I think it's probably gone back to the National Museum. It's kept in Ottawa.
I'd like to see it.
You could
I'd
take a
like
trip
to
to Ottawa.
touch it. Do you think they'd let me touch it?
Well, we can arrange almost anything. Ottawa's only about 2.5 hours from here, so it should be easy enough to go there and come back at night. We just have to make arrangements to have access to the gallery. They have a very interesting collection of woodworks, of wood carvings, all the wood carvings that Gustave Doré did for Paradise Lost, amongst other things there. They're very interesting.
I think as he's speaking, she's sliding out of her chair and onto the ground, and she's got an ear pressed to the floor, and her eyes are kind of drifting off as though she's listening to the floor now.
As he's talking and you do that, he lets you sit there, and then he takes your cup of wine and he brings it down and he puts it next to you on the floor. We'll have to see. If you speak to anybody else, maybe inquire about these dreams or memories. Maybe there's something there. I'll see what I can do about McGill and the National Gallery. Knock comes at the door. Yeah, Faraday comes in. I'm sorry, sir. There's been a delivery for Mistress Hausman. Bring it. And he comes over and he hands Fletcher an envelope, and Fletcher goes to hand it to you, and he's like, do you want me to read it, or?
I do like it when you read to me. Read it.
He turns it over, goes, it's from the prince. So when do you get communications from the prince? Are you in trouble? Did you do something I'm not aware of?
Not that I remember.
I see what you did there, remember. That's good. He pulls out this thing. He's like, I think the prince wants to see you. And he turns and he shows you the ad for the Fofone Electric.
What does he want?
It's a she now.
You know how bad I am with politics.
I know, it changes really quickly every few hundred years. Someone new is sitting on the throne. I know.
Duffy.
You're going to have to go. Faraday, can you help her and make sure she gets there? The last thing we need right now is the prince being pissed off at us. The Ventru have her ear. If she speaks for us, we'll have a better chance of getting into McGill. You're going to have to go there and you're going to have to make nice.
I think she kind of slinks up off the floor and she's on her knees, but like sliding the top half of her body into his lap. You can't go with me.
I don't think so. The invitation was clearly marked for you. I'm sure you'll be fine. I'm gonna use this time to try and get us into McGill. Obviously, don't say anything about any of this to any of them. But go and make nice, just go and be social. It's been a while since you've been out of the chantry. You could probably use the fresh air. So to speak, of course.
Right.
Are you okay, darling? And he reaches down and he just caresses your face a little bit. You seem a little bit more out of it than usual. Did the ritual take too much out of you?
I just feel sort of far away right now.
It's time to come back. You need to come back now. You need to come back. There are things to be done.
At least take my pet.
Yes, you can take Faraday with you.
Good. I need somebody there. But I'm sure I'll be good.
Oh, I know you will. Faraday, take care of her. And he leans down and he gives you a kiss and is like, really proud of you. You did really good tonight.
Thank you.
We're going to get to the bottom of this. All right, Faraday and they both help you up. Can you walk? Are you okay?
She kind of like walks a couple steps and does a pirouette. Good as new.
I see you have your dancing shoes on.
Well, someone's got to keep it interesting around all these stuffy politicians and the like.
Well, you're in luck, and he shows you the little flyer. It's Darkwave and Synthwave night at the Fufuns tonight. He hands the envelope over to Faraday.
Shall
See you
get
when you
changed.
You'll get change. Faraday will bring the car around. And as you step into the back of the car, and Faraday drives you into the part of Montreal where the club is, I think it's a good point to take a break, my friends. We're going to take a little break here. And when we come back, we'll see what the prince wants. Thank you so much for everyone hanging out in the chat, playing with us. It's the first session of our game. We're letting the players kind of find the voice of their characters, find out who their characters are, inhabit them a little bit. We're going to take them for a spin now and see what the prince is up to. So thank you very much for hanging out with us. We appreciate all of you. Thank you to my players. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Thanks, gang. Hey, everybody. Welcome back from the break. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Wanderers Haven, for the raid whilst we were away. And thank you very much, Jeremy, for that spray bottle emoji. I think we're going to make good use of it out here because, our chat is a little special because that's how we like it. We're not going to talk about our players. Our players are special too, but it's just par for the course over here. Thank you so much, my friends, for hanging out with us. Before the break, we were introduced to the city of Montreal, the kindred who live there. We met Elise Hausman, played by Darlene Creepshow, who is Picture who is very much involved with her sire in a lot of heavy-duty sex magic, transporting herself and having visions of things. And they are looking for some secrets connected to a mage that we don't know too much about called Toisechel. We also met Arkham Olivier, the curator by excellence, with a bit of a short temper and a very, very strong need for exactitude and everything, who had a bit of an encounter with a street artist that left a mark on him, but I think the street artist is probably not going to sleep tonight. So, things come and things go. And then we met Father Alexandre Dubois at the Neon Church, St. James Church, who seems to be having problems with visions, but otherwise is quite engaged in guiding his flock through the darkness of the times that we live in. And at the end, everyone was summoned to see the prince. That is the prince of the top city, because there are two cities in Montreal. There's Montreal itself, which is above ground, and then there's Ville-Marie, which is below ground. And the prince of the above ground city is Corinne Van Horn of Clan Toreador. And this is the person who summoned our group of wonderful players, who we'll bring back right now. Thank you very much, players, for being here. So amazing, all of you. You are headed to a club where the Prince of Montreal likes to hang out. This club's called Les Fufuns Électriques, which means the electric ass cheeks in French. It's called colloquially Foufs, and it is a legendary punk rock bar in Montreal that stands as a gritty monument to the city's underground scene, nestled in the heart of the Plateau, which is a very bohemian, very sought-after borough or neighborhood in Montreal. It's the kind of place you wouldn't find by accident. The dimly lit exterior, adorned with graffiti posters for upcoming shows and the faded neon glow of the sign, all give it a worn and almost forbidding aura. As you approach the entrance, the low hum of bass and muffled voices spill out through the heavy door, inviting you into a dark, cavernous space that feels worlds away from the polished world outside. Tonight it's Darkwave night. The room is thick with atmosphere, heavy with smoke and the scent of beer. The lighting is subdued, punctuated by eerie, pulsing strobe lights and neon flashes that seem to sync with the throbbing beats coming from the speakers. The walls covered in posters of past punk shows and adverts for beers from decades ago have seen years of the city's rebellion, and the floor is littered with scattered flyers, empty bottles, and the occasional forgotten piece of leather or vinyl. It's a space where time feels almost suspended, a throwback to the headier days of Montreal nightlife, stuck between gritty punk roots and the new generation's embrace of dark wave and synthwave culture. The crowd's an eclectic mix of Montreal's countercultural scene. Punks in leather jackets, mohawks, and battle vests with band patches mingle with synthwave aficionados sporting neon-soaked fashion and chunky headphones. The punk crowd is rough around the edges with tattoos peeking out from under the sleeves of their jackets, while the synthwave crowd is more polished, their attire punctuated with flashes of retro-futuristic style like neon-colored hair, metallic accessories, and oversized angular sunglasses. The DJ booth is nestled in a corner where a figure bathing in low light is working the deck, spinning tracks that blend the brooding, melancholic atmosphere of dark wave with the hypnotic electronic rhythms of synthwave. The music pulses and waves, deep, melancholic synths and driving beats that make the floor vibrate, creating an intoxicating atmosphere. It's a place where the boundaries between the genres blurs, where punks and synthwave lovers unite over shared love for rebellion, rhythm, and strange beauty of darkness. The crowd moves and waves to the beat, some lost in their own world of introspection, others more energetic, losing themselves in the hypnotic thrum of the music. The atmosphere is heady, intoxicating, electronic with a raw, untamed edge that perfectly matches the spirit of the Foufoun's électriques. It's a haven for those who exist outside the mainstream, where the punk ethos continues to thrive in the shadows of Montreal's vibrant, ever-changing nightlife. It is the grit under the fingernails, the grime, the crust that lines every single piece of chrome and neon that lights up the city. This is also the favorite hangout of Prince Corinne van Horn, and while she's in attendance, the place is considered Elysium, a fact that is corroborated by the presence of Oliver Stokes, the Ventrue peacekeeper, a mix of Keeper of Elysium and Sheriff. Stokes looks like he'd rather be anywhere else but here. The dark, elegant Ventrue, owns several blues and jazz clubs and is indelibly embedded in those scenes. This scene is not his. In Montreal, the role of Keeper of Elysium and Sheriff has been amalgamated into one role, that of peacekeeper. The Ventrue, when they gave their support to the Toreador, Corinne van Horn, got a lot for themselves, including the position of seneschal, the position of peacekeeper, and of course, the elder sits on the privilegium. So you can say that the Ventrue are pretty much the power behind the throne in the city, even though the prince is herself, Toreador. You took the bus, Father. As you approach the bar, which I assume you've probably been in the vicinity of before and certainly would be recognized by a number of the people here, can you give us a little bit of, not just necessarily a description of physically of your character, you can throw that in there, but give us a little bit of a look into his mindset right now. How is he feeling? What's going on in his mind as he's approaching this meeting with Prince Corinne van Horn?
Deep in his thoughts, somewhat arguing with himself, he rarely receives a summons from the prince. And so he is taking this as a sign of perhaps his worthiness in the eyes of the prince being elevated to a degree which meets his own ends, so to speak. As he sits on the bus, looking left and right, no doubt smiling and nodding to several of the others on the bus as well. I mean, he sits there in his priest garbs, very simply. The only difference being it being the winter months, he has a thick jacket on, but his badge of station is still very much prominent. I think once he gets off the bus, he just kind of looks around, sees what familiar faces are there. And the more familiar faces that are around, the more steeled he becomes. But curious nonetheless. Why would the prince call me? What could I possibly have? Do they know? Do they suspect? Did they find that body? Who knows? Either way, it's exhilarating nonetheless. You're muted.
Thank you very much. As you approach, you're well known enough as the father of the Neon Church, with enough of your flock here tonight that people greet you with respect and with pats on the back and with hugs, even in some cases. They're not looking at you weirdly, like, why is this priest at the foofs? They're like, oh yeah, of course, it's the father. You don't hang out here necessarily, but definitely the people here are very, very happy to see you, very interested in the fact that you're here. And you find it difficult at first to kind of make your way through the crowd. As you scan the room, you don't detect the presence of other kindred other than Oliver Stokes, as I mentioned earlier, the peacekeeper. But as you do move in a little deeper into the crowd, you do spot somebody else walking in. I think probably Arkham Olivier arrives next. You probably double parked somewhere or parked somewhere illegally, I'm assuming with your car, your Audi, and you're making your way in. Do you still have the hand painted on your face?
No, absolutely not. Like that was cleaned off before he got in the car, because paint doesn't go good with peanut butter leather insides. Anyway, no, he's changed, real quick through his office, just changed his jacket for the evening, to keep it low key. He walks into the nightclub and he's almost kind of taken back for a little bit to a different time, to where this necessarily wasn't the scene, but he enjoyed the music, little 222s every so often. I think he walks in though with this air of, this is a moment for me. Whatever comes in this meeting, leaving here with something, or at the very least something to eat, because I've had 2 meals run out on me tonight and I don't like that. Be handled later.
As you're moving through the crowd, you see Oliver Stokes. You also detect, strange enough, the presence of a priest that you realize is kindred. Now, just for the sake of everyone's knowledge, I do allow my vampires to sense other vampires and ghouls. If the vampire is much more powerful than they are, they sense them even more strongly, unless they're using some power to hide themselves, and they can tell the difference between humans, ghouls, and vampires. And they kind of have a vampdar, if you will. You do notice that the father is, in fact, kindred also. And now I wonder, do the two of you know each other? Do you think? Have you ever met?
I think that a long due thank you is overdue from Alex to Arkham for his over-generous donation to the Church of St. James and the selling and reappropriation of such arts that helped fully fund the kitchen, and we are greatly indebted to you. And should you ever find yourself in need of rest or salvation, you are more than welcome to count yourself among our congregation.
Anything for the community, Father. It's greatly appreciated.
It is so wonderful to have the adoration of a rose such as yourself.
You always have to speak like that?
Sometimes.
It's a game. It's fun.
And as you are engaging in this little back and forth, you can't fail to notice the entrance of another kindred into the club, followed by a ghoul who is keeping good time with her. Elise, tell us a little bit what these fine gentlemen would see and sort of what Elise's state of mind is as she's entering this place.
You see this very small, willowy woman with an expression as though she's seeing the world for the first time. She's wide-eyed and delighted as she walks into the club and instantly kind of sways to the music, looking around, taking in all the sights. She's very graceful in her movements, very delicate. But there's something slightly off-putting about the way she moves.
Is that a friend of your father?
No, but it does look as though Jezebel incarnate. This should prove quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that to you, Padre,
No,
because
her beauty is far too great of mine. I'm surprised she isn't catching your glance. She is a work of art. I mean, simply look at her.
Grace incarnate, most definitely, but I know a siren when I see one.
Oh, and how sweet it would be to fall to our deaths to her song. Let's say hello, shall we?
Are you clipped?
Hmm?
Nothing. Yes, let's say hello, shall we?
As you approach to say hello, I'm going to ask all three of you to do something we haven't done yet tonight, which is to do your rouse checks.
Ooh.
So if you're on Demiplane, go ahead and click rouse check on your Demiplane, and it will tell us if you are hungry or what the situation is.
I'm hungry. No success.
0
if you're
successes.
Oh.
One success.
Those of you who did not have successes, you get a point of hunger, obviously. But as you move through this club, the nearness of all these people, you're at 1 hunger, so you're not losing your minds or anything. But the nearness of the people, the excitement, the blood's pumping, the sweat, the perfumes, the music, the alcohol, the smell of the drugs, everything else is very heady and very enveloping, and it hits you on all fronts. All your senses are kind of attacked and kind of tingled by all of this as you're moving through this crowd. And as always, you get that reminder that you are a predator. You are not human. You are not part of these people. You are not like them. You are a part. You are above. You are beyond. You are something else, because as you move through them, that little gnawing, insistent, bestial voice in the pit of your stomach that's always there growls just a little bit louder. And the people around you cease being human and become sustenance, become food. You are devourers. This is what you do. And all around you right now is your favorite source of food, and not just your source of sustenance or food, but something that brings you literally to life. And as you move through these bodies and people glide and bump against you or slide against you, or you feel a hand on your hip, or you smell a particular perfume that evokes a powerful memory from your past, all of this reminds you that one of the gifts that you get from the night that comes with the curse is this ability to feel more, to live more, to be entranced more, to just absorb more of these things that titillate you and that make your skin tingle. you feel extremely alive in these moments, in places like this. And as the three of you converge towards each other, you can't help, of course, but notice the presence of the others. And as you stand there, it's almost as if, perhaps with the director's hand or some sort of effect, some special effect, the crowd seems to part around you, and you find yourselves, all three of you, close to each other in a little alcove of people. It's as if the people, of course, sense the presence of predators in their midst, and they give you a little bit of a wide berth. And you find yourselves, all three of you, standing in this little island of tranquility amidst this sea of flesh and chaos around you.
How long do you both think it would take for the three of us to have a little fun as well?
4 minutes, tops.
We can do this right now. We'll take the bar.
Aren't we already having fun? And she's just kind of like...
We could have more fun.
Who are you?
Me. Arkham Olivier. Art extraordinaire, but purveyor of good times.
Art. Do you make art? I make art.
Do you? I make
do.
some.
What kind of
Looks over
art
to
do
the
you
floor.
make,
Oops, sorry.
Arkham?
I think you know, Miss...
Elise.
Oh, well. Most of my art is splattered in crimson.
So you're not a real artist?
Nope. I'm just hungry.
And you? Who are you?
I am Father Alexandre Dubois, my child.
A man of the cloth. How interesting. Can I touch you? And she's reaching out to the fabric at your neck.
He, like, in that moment, embodies the fact that he is not alive in the stillness that his form takes. His eyes unwaveringly locked on yours.
She's going to touch his collar. And could I possibly use my ability Spirit's Touch?
Oh, sorry. I thought I was muted. That's the word I'm looking for. Absolutely. So by touching an inanimate object or the location member can sense the emotional residue left by those who have handled that object as a location using insight, not only that person. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. So it costs you 1 rouse check. So you have to do a rouse check, and then you have to give me a roll of intelligence plus awesomeness.
Yeah. All right, I'll do my rouse check first. Ooh, I get another point of hunger.
As you call on your blood to power your discipline, you feel some of it get eaten up by the beast inside of you, and you feel suddenly a little bit more hungry than you were a moment before, and the warmth and the presence of all these gyrating bodies around you seem to press in on you even more.
That's 5 successes.
Go ahead and do you want to ask questions, or do you want us to give you some kind of general thing, or did you have specific questions you wanted answered?
Yeah, just give me something generic.
I will give you something, and I'll ask Kurt to give you something.
Okay.
You get from the collar, as you touch it, you smell blood, and you see suddenly from under, I'm sorry, is Father Dubois as bearded as you, Kurt? Or is he?
Yes.
All right. From under the beard, as if emanating from each of the pores where a strand of hair would come out, blood starts to drip along his neck, over the collar, stains the collar immediately, all throughout, and you can see the red sort of spreading throughout. And as you're seeing this happen, the blood rolls over your fingers and starts to roll down in long rivulets down your very pale hand, and it follows the lines of the veins and the nerves in your hand, almost like these little tributaries of blood that start to spill, and then they reach your jacket, and the jacket starts to absorb the blood. And as you're watching all of this, you see the sleeve of your jacket start to turn red as it's absorbing and soaking up all this blood. And as this is happening, you smell the blood of humans. It's just now soaking your jacket, and it's dripping down, and around you, everyone has disappeared. It's just you and this priest. You're in this dark red room. The music is still blasting and pumping and shaking you, and behind him, you see light up, impossibly large, like it would not fit in this room, this giant cross lit up in white lights. And you've seen this cross before on the top of Mount One. And it shines behind him brightly, almost blinding you as he stands there and looks at you with a smile. And your entire coat and your pants or your skirt, whatever you're wearing, your underwear even, your skin now feels clammy with blood as you're entirely covered in it. And it keeps on coming, and it keeps on coming, and it's covering, and the music gets louder and louder and louder, and it's shaking you. And all of a sudden, you hear a voice. It's his voice, but it's got a different inflection in it. It's got a different presence behind it. And all you hear is, well, you're a tasty little fucking morsel. Oh, you are. And then the sound dims down, and you can see people around you again. And as you're holding on to the priest's collar, you see the tiniest fleck of blood on the edge of it. Kurt, what I want you to tell Creep for the Auspex roll is I want you to give her an indication of the last time your character fed, what it looked like and what happened.
You see what can only be described as a caricature of a pimp in a back alleyway with both of his hands broken and his throat ripped out and his body slumped over a dumpster with the blood pouring out into a cup of the covenant and him drinking from it greedily.
Red like wrath. Do you like the color red, Father?
It is a color of great significance.
It is.
Tell me, do you attend church, or was my thinking you the likeness of Jezebel a bit more accurate?
I go to church, yes, but not in your kind of church.
Perhaps you'll humor me then. Tell me, what is your sin?
My sin?
Yes.
I don't believe I have any sins, Father. Not that I can recall.
Then
I'm
we
often told what a good girl I am, actually.
Of that I have no doubt, my child.
So, are you two here to see the prince?
Yes. I received a personal letter, as a matter of fact, requesting an audience.
Really?
Funny, really, that they call her a prince when she is a she. Wouldn't it be more fitting if she was called a princess? It's quite nice, the word princess.
Well, from my understanding, we're using more neutral terms these days.
What a shame.
It truly is. There are many of the old ways that still could be quite useful tonight.
I hope it's quick. I am finding myself to be a bit peckish. Do you think the prince will have snacks for us?
If he doesn't, or if she doesn't, then I have no doubt there's a vending machine somewhere close by.
And as you say that, you hear a voice coming from behind you. As Oliver Stokes, the peacekeeper, says, "You should know better than to walk into somebody else's house and reach into the refrigerator without asking permission first, Father."
Well, yes, but if I recall, our lordship is a truly impeccable host.
I'm sure she will attend to all your needs. If you'll attend her presently, I'm here to take you to her presence. Yes.
Do you think she would like me to recount the tale of the fish and the 3 loaves of bread?
I can't tell you what. Why don't you try it and see what happens?
Well, I'd be delighted to have her attend sermon.
Yeah, all right. You can ask her if she wants to do that too. Now, if you're done being crazy, and a lot of you are done staring into each other's eyes longingly like a bunch of virgins on their first outing, maybe we could step to the back.
Oh, by all means, but I haven't had a chance to stare longingly into Arkham's eyes yet, though I do look forward to the event.
Arkham is this entire time with that full interaction has just been looking at the both of you with this like this voyeur-esque type gaze. And he's just like, interesting.
I'm just missing one. There she is. And as he says that, you see him looking towards the door, and approaching towards you is a very strange looking woman. She is very tall and thin. She is wearing this headscarf with these big glasses. You recognize Soriana Indigo, a member of the ministry, and one of the most infamous art critics in Montreal. She is completely wrapped in this black gauze-like material. Her arms, hands, fingers, all the way down to her feet, she's wearing these big combat boots over them. And she's wearing these big fuck you sunglasses. Her skin is milky white and she's got these ruby red lips. She approaches. Sorry to keep you waiting, dears. I had to make a stop along the way. Stokes said, it's all right. They were busy staring into each other's eyes longingly, so it's fine. I don't believe we've made acquaintances. I'm Soriana Indigo, and you are, and she extends her hand to Arkham. I'm kidding, I know who you are, Arkham Olivier. Who doesn't know the great Arkham Olivier, the finest curator in Montreal? Tell me, how did the opening go tonight? Was it a roaring success, or did Olga put a little poke in your wheels?
Soriano, it's a pleasure to see you. And yes, it was a rousing success. Olga has her troubles, but nothing that can't be tamed. It's just going to take me a little more time tonight to do it.
Well, I hope it turns out all right. I'll be writing about it, of course, in my column tomorrow. I'm wanting to say I'm sorry I savaged your last exhibit so much. It's just that it was so very bad. But I'm sure you'll bounce back. A man of your stature and talent, of course, is bound to achieve more success than failures in the long run. I'm sure it'll all even out in the wash.
Of course it will. And no apologies needed. Somebody with an eye like yours, I can't imagine that they have the purview to see the greatness in front of them.
Well, you're wrong. You're so wrong, Arkham. I look at you and I see greatness standing before me. I recognize it. I'm helping you. I'm helping you hone your talent, sharpen your skills. I'm helping you detail your vision. You have so much to offer the art world in Montreal, Arkham, and I mean this in the truest sense possible. I believe you are a powerful force. You just need a little hand-holding, perhaps, a little careful guidance, a little challenge to get you motivated.
Of course. I always love a challenge, but I find it hard to understand how you provide guidance to anyone with glasses such as those. I guess it's another one of your expert opinions in fashion.
The darkness holds no secret for those in the ministry. And, of course, your fantastic associate here would know about this. You, of course, being a man of religion yourself. Father, your name escapes me.
Oh, that would be Father Dubois. And tell me, how is Andy these days? I see you're dressed as one of his discarded projects.
A priest with a sense of humor? What is this world coming to? That the clergy would find humor. That is remarkable. You're finally coming into the 16th century. Pretty soon you'll have caught up to the rest of us. Amazing. You do have amazing hair, Avra, may I? And she reaches out and...
No.
Oh. Well, that's boring. All right, then. And what do we have here? The little wizard pet. Tell me, what's your name, beautiful creature?
Elise.
Elise. Such a pedestrian name for such an immaculate creature. Who styles you, honey?
What do you mean?
Well, if I may, you look like the most exquisite painting ever created, wrapped in a garbage bag. May I approach you?
Of course.
And she comes over and she's slowly, very slowly, making sure that you're okay with it, puts her hands, her fingertips on your collarbone, and slowly spreads your clothing out. And she doesn't reveal your breasts or anything, but she shows your chest and your throat. And the two of you can see the tattoos, the ink that she has that covers her. And Arkham, you are immediately entranced. The intricacy, the beauty of the work there, the layering, everything, it's incredibly remarkable. You have rarely seen work like this. And as she sort of pushes aside some of your clothing and reveals this, she goes, "You're a perfect canvas, covered in the world's most perfect art. And yet you hide it behind these Renaissance rags. My darling, you are incandescent. You should burn bright as the sun, consume everything around you, blow their ashes to the wind. Do not hide yourself. You do a great disservice to the world around you, a world that is starved and parched for beauty and aesthetic qualities that you bring. Remarkable."
Be careful, Elise. She might ask you to eat an apple.
Elise looks like the type of person who's already eaten several bushels worth. She just tips you on the chin a little bit with her finger. My, this evening is certainly turning out to be interesting. First a summons from the prince, and now you three.
Yeah. How are we to speak to him?
Her, the prince is her. Yes, I know, it's difficult sometimes. She turns to Stoke. "Shall we, Monsieur Peacekeeper?" He's like, "If you're done fucking doing whatever it is you're doing, we can go."
I think before we start walking, like, Arkham puts like a gentle hand on Elise's forearm. And he just looks at her and he goes, "An art piece like that takes some time."
Lots of love and care.
It's interesting. Maybe I could meet the artist.
Maybe. I thought you were an artist, but you're just a curator. And she just kind of moves past you.
Very fun.
I can't get no respect.
Is Faraday with me still?
Yeah, Faraday is like a few steps behind.
Okay.
You're brought upstairs, and as soon as you go through a set of double doors, through a cement wall, the sounds of the bar fade away, and they're replaced by a much more chill, laid-back, dark wave soundtrack that's emanating from hidden speakers around you. You walk into a room that has windows all along one side, and you can see laid out below you the old port of Montreal, the old cobblestone streets, the old gas lamps, the quaint, charming, European, whatever people call it, flavor of the city laid out at your feet in front of you. And as you walk into the room, you find standing at the window looking out over the city, the Prince, Corinne Van Horn, a proud member of Clan Toreador. She's a striking figure, a mix of punk rock attitude and vibrant flair. She walks through a room like a force of nature. Her presence is magnetic, commands the attention of everyone in her orbit. Her blue hair, a cascade of electric color that contrasts sharply with her pale skin, frames a face adorned with tattoos, each one a mark of artistry. Her eyes, deep, captivating shade of violet, draw you in instantly, but it's the intensity in them that holds you there. Corinne has a way of looking at people that demands respect without ever needing to say a word. The sharp, almost predatory quality of her gaze never lets you forget that she's in control. She doesn't need to speak loudly. Her presence fills the room. Her voice is soft but commanding, enchanting, alluring, warm, challenging at the same time. Her clothing's an eclectic combination of punk rock rebellion and the sleek, luxurious aesthetic of the Toreador. Mix of studded leather jackets, fishnet stockings, bold art-inspired prints, splashes of neon pink, green, and purple that reflect her unapologetic embrace of individuality. Her accessories, the multiple piercings on her ears, nose, and lips, only add to her fierce aura, while the tattoos that snake up her arms and neck are both intricate and bold. Despite her edgy appearance, there's an undeniable elegance to her. The Toreador clan's artistic nature is woven through her style. Every detail, every color, every movement seems carefully chosen to evoke both punk's anarchic spirit and an artist's refined sensibilities. Her posture is graceful yet predatory. There's a fluidity that's almost otherworldly. Her charisma is impossible to ignore. As soon as you walk into the room, you're drawn to her. You're magnetized. There's something supernatural about it. You know that your mind is being toyed with by some power, but you can't help it. You want to please her. You want her to like you. You want her to pay attention to you. She's got this sharp, refined, unyielding sense to that charisma. There's the unshakable power of a Toreador who's earned her place to the top, but there's also something more there. There's definitely something that comes from inside, something that is unique to her. And as you see her, you think that there may be some credence to the rumors that she was forged in the crucible of Prince Francois Villon's court in Paris, a hive of treacherous politics, if ever there was one. As you gaze upon her and watch her gaze upon the city, you're struck with this thought. A city comes to resemble those who lead it, those who control it. She does not seem in any way, shape, or form like someone who is falling apart, someone who is decaying, someone that has been seized by entropy. She seems vibrant and powerful and full of life, if you will. Yet the city around her is crumbling, falling apart. There's a discrepancy there. You, Arkham, would know that she's obsessed with the aesthetics of decay and of things falling apart and of things that are ugly and beyond their usefulness and degrading. That's her weakness. But it still doesn't account for that discrepancy between who she is and what the city has become. And as you approach her, all five of you, although Stokes stays at the door, but all four of you with Soriana. You can't help but wonder what it is that's causing that discrepancy. And for some of you, like Arkham, who's looking for a wedge, a crack, a way in, and might offer some sort of opportunity. For someone like Father Dubois, who is worried about what is falling through the cracks, what is being taken away, there might be a hint of something greater going on that affects perhaps more than just him. And for someone like Elise, as you gaze upon her with your particular skills and abilities, you sense that there's something momentous that is about to happen, or that there is a wave, and that she's the only thing that's kind of holding it back right now. And you get this momentary fear that if she lets it through, if she allows this wave through, that it's going to swallow you whole, and you immediately become on your guard and become wary. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you all making the time, of course. Not that you would have refused my entreaties, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Please have a seat. She snaps her fingers. A couple of ghouls enter. They're bringing in decanters of blood. They set them on a table with beautiful ornate glasses for a lot of you. Please drink as much as you want. There's more than enough to go around. If you require something more specific, you may have to let me know so that I find it, but you should find this sufficient. Please have a seat. I hope my summons didn't take you away from important business. I know, Arkham, you had a showing tonight. You had an opening of a gallery. How did it go?
Swimmingly. It's perfectly fine. Of course, I wouldn't pass the opportunity on a summons. This holds more importance. So, thank you for this.
I'm glad to hear things were good, were fine. It's very important that we find ways to bring the different cultures of the city together. That's one of the things that has been lacking, I think, and this effort you're making to bring street art to a different audience, and to bring a different audience to street art, I think is very important. We do have some of the best street art in the world in Montreal.
I agree.
I appreciate all your efforts.
Absolutely. Someone has to recognize the beauty in this city, even though some of us, and looks at Soriana, are blind to it.
Excuse me, my prince. Arkham is a little sore about a piece I wrote about his last exhibit in my column last week. He'll get over it soon enough. I read that column, Soriana, and as always, you were a little too pleased. Took a little too much pleasure, I find, in the dismantling of someone who is making efforts to make this city more beautiful. Well, I apologize. I can only be honest. My readers expect honesty from me. They expect me to tell them what is worth. That's enough, Soriana. And she turns over to look at Father Dubois. You are the Neon Church father, aren't you? St. James?
Yes, I am indeed.
You've done such great work. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. Thank you. It means enormous amounts to hear your compliments.
Is there anything your church requires?
The church itself? No, though I do have a slight problem in my area that I will handle in due time.
If it's too much for you to handle, you can, of course, always petition for Mr. Stokes to assist you.
Oh, this is true. Nothing more than an unwelcome rat.
Well, if there's anything Mr. Stokes or myself can do, please don't hesitate to ask.
Yes, but I'm here at your beck. I am here for your service.
And we'll get to that presently. Elise Houseman. It's a pleasure to see you again. It's been several months since we've seen you at any of the Elysiums.
Those. Yes. Fletcher does make me go to those from time to time. He says I should show respect.
Well, Fletcher is a little bit more old school, perhaps, but when she sits down next to you and she says, "Can I be frank with you, Elise?"
Please do.
Elysium bore the fucking pants off of me, too. I can't fucking stand them. They're the worst. If you don't want to come, if you don't want to come, you don't have to. You can tell Fletcher I said that. You don't have to come. They're boring. I get it. That's fine.
You're very kind.
I wasn't always Prince, you know. But I am now, which, well, puts a few responsibilities in front of me that I need to take care of, and that's why I've called you here. I'm sure you've noticed that in the past few months, several of the elders of the city have opted to leave. The information we're getting is sporadic at best, but there's something going on in the Middle East, in Africa. I don't know enough about it to get into the specifics of it, but it's calling a lot of the elders of the city. The people I would normally have gone to for this particular bit of business I have to put before you tonight are no longer here. But I think perhaps that's a good thing. I think perhaps a different approach, an approach from kindred with perhaps a younger point of view, someone who is not yet completely jaded to the beauty of the world and the needs of the kind around us, might be just what the doctor ordered. What I would like you to do, my friends, the task I would put before you is one of great importance. I'm sure you've noticed that the city is not doing as well as it used to, or as it should. There are plenty of reasons for that, reasons that are beyond our control, some of them that there is not much we can do about. However, there are a few things we can do. I am interested in Crit Hit Chronicles rating us. Thank you very much, Cujo, for coming in with the raid. We appreciate you, Cujo. Our friendly vampires are meeting with the prince. I've had this vision. I've had this vision of an arts festival. Something like Montreal used to have almost every other month. Something that would draw the attention of not only the humans of this world and bring back the spotlight onto Montreal as a truly global arts destination for tourism, but perhaps a little shadow festival that would be aimed towards our kind, that would bring back a little bit of the luster that the city used to have. I am interested, my friends, in creating this festival, 3 weeks, to be held in the summer, at the end of the summer. I know, very tight deadline. 3-week-long art festival with a full weekend dedicated to a shadow festival for our people. And I've brought you together for very specific reasons. You, Arkham, as the preeminent curator of art in this city, are the only person I could think of to organize this, to curate this. It'll mean, of course, you need to wipe everything else off your schedule, but I'm sure you can manage.
Of course.
And you, Soriana, as the preeminent art critic in the city, well, I figured it was best if we brought you on board from the get-go, so to avoid any sort of lashing of the tongue. And you can keep Arkham honest. We know that Arkham tends to fly off the handle a little bit and, you know, overreach sometimes. You can keep him within bounds. She turns towards Father Dubois and Elise, and I'm certain the two of you are wondering why I've asked you here. When I tell you what the topic of this art festival is to be, I think you'll understand. Montreal is not a unique in this aspect, but it is certainly a place where these subjects, these themes, have come across each other the most in history. I am thinking of religion. I'm thinking of art. I'm thinking of the occult. And I'm thinking of sex. What I want is for the group of you to come together and to curate a 3-week-long festival that will take a look at art produced here and throughout the world that sit at the intersectionality between sex, religion, and the occult. I want you to bring artists and works of art that will challenge, that will cause scandal, that will force people to revisit some of the history of this place, that will force people to reckon with how these different subject matters come together and inform one another. I need, of course, an advisor on religious matter, and that will be you, Father Dubois. I need an advisor on occult matters, and that will be you, my dear Elise. I need an advisor on the subject of sex, and I've planned to invite Lila, your clanmate, Arkham.
Oh, really?
She's unfortunately in New York, but she has assured me that she will gladly participate in this particular in this event. And you, Soriana, I want you to keep an eye on everything and to make sure that we're doing as good as we can. I have specific tasks for each of you to begin your journey here, but I want to, first of all, give you the means to do this. I will provide you with a place to hold this festival. The biosphere will become the art sphere for the next 10 months. You will transform the space and make it central to this festival. I will also give you access to some of my resources and contacts. Whatever you need to make this happen. I'm sure you have questions.
Yes. This is quite a task. Of course, nothing that I'm sure this group can't handle. I guess my main concern is the curation and the procurement of this art. I have an idea. Does I assume the opportunities of this art are expanding, some of them with different forms and mediums. Is that open to us?
Absolutely. Carte blanche. There are a few specific artists and works I would like to see, and I will tell you about them momentarily. But beyond that, I want you to take this and make it your own.
My prince, what is your standing on living art?
Elaborate.
I think with the time period that we have, 3 weeks of this art expo, with the shadow event, I think it would be within the best interest of some of our patrons to see art in living movement, something that celebrates both what you're looking for and what we are, my prince. And I'll be very honest. I think that our dear Elise would probably be best suited to assist in that particular art case.
You want me to make art?
Well, yeah. Like you said, I'm not an artist. I'm just a curator. In addition to that, I do assume that the budget notwithstanding, like you had said, my biggest concern is I don't feel that the only aim for this said event is just to bring eyes back on Montreal. I'm curious, my prince, what else is it to gain for this? I'm only interested because I want to facilitate that for you.
Arkham, there's change happening. There are things that are occurring currently in the world that I think are bringing tremendous amount of change to the way we live our nights. I can feel it on the air, like the metallic tang of bad blood. I'm not much of a seer, I believe. Our friend Elise here is probably better at these things than I am, but I can read people and currents, and I can read movements, and what I'm hearing, the things that I am told are occurring, the things that I think are happening, I think will bring an end to all of us. And I think that if we are to be living in the end nights, I think if we are on the last dance, we should make it the most beautiful, most joyful, most entrancing dance that's ever been done. We should celebrate what is coming, and we should embrace it. We should go back and experience all these things that have made us who we are and that have brought us knowledge, enlightenment, pleasure, pain, things that make the night come alive. We should celebrate them one more time before they are taken away from us. Because I truly believe, Arkham, that is what is upon us. And if I bring you and your wonderful curating talents into this, if I bring Father Dubois and his knowledge of not just religion, but where religion intersects with the abominations that we are. If I bring the wonderful Elise here into this, someone who lives already on the edge of our world and another world, if I bring Suriana and if I bring Lila into this, people with unique visions of what makes humanity humanity, it is so that we can celebrate it one more time before we are forced to watch it disappear. And so yes, Arkham, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to create, whatever you want to bring, whatever you want to buy, whoever you want to bring in, whatever you want to spotlight, make it beautiful and make it ugly and make it everything that life is, that we may taste it one more time before our bodies turn to ash. What do you say? Shall we get down to brass tacks?
By all means.
Come then, my friends. Let tonight mark the beginning of your coterie, a coterie that will bring the city back to the attention of the world. Celebrate everything that makes us what we are one more time before the end of where it takes us all. And as you lean in and she begins to detail her plans, Elise, out of the corner of your eye, you notice something. And you look up, and on the table, near the window where she was standing, is a book with a red cover. Red, the color of blood. And your mind flashes back to the nun, the sister that you saw in your vision earlier. Then you remember her admonition that it's in the blood. And as you sit here and look upon these coterie members of yours, you begin to wonder if the blood you're looking for is not in one of them. And that, my friends, is where we're going to end tonight's first session